Hello, everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. This is a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we have read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week, we read Promised Neverland, chapters 1 through 36, and it was a wild ride. Our normal mama of the podcast, Heavily Erin, is gone taking care of her babu, so it's up to us to hold the ship together, and I think it's going to go great. I am Dodger. You are on my Twitch channel right now, and everybody else is going to introduce themselves now. That was a good bridge for that, I thought.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's top tier. Very professional. What's up? My name's Lou from Lou Talks Anime, and I want to talk about this so much. I've been wanting to talk about it for a few days, so I'm very excited to be here today. I love this manga. The spoilers for my spoiler recommendation for anyone that's impatient and needs to know if they need to read this now. I will say more things soon, but god damn it, I fucking love this manga.
Amazing. My name's Isla. Isla McTeer on YouTube. I make loads of anime videos, 5-minute reviews, and make loads of really emotional, hard-hitting, hope to make you cry content about anime that I love. And I am so excited to talk about this manga. I haven't read ahead because I didn't want to spoil it for myself, but oh my god, spoiler review for me too. I think it's awesome. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, my name is Brad or Pluto. There's not much to me except for I love escape rooms, and I also love manga and anime. I was asked by Erin a few weeks ago to be on this episode, and little did she know I had already caught up to Promised Neverland. So yeah, I am already deep in the game, and I'm far past kind of where everyone else is, and I can only wait and hope that you guys will catch up and experience the craziness that ensues. But I'm very excited to talk about this.
Yes. Excellent. The way that this show goes is the first section is spoiler free. We're going to tell you how we felt about the manga in as spoilerless way as possible. We're just going to say whether or not we think that you should take the time to read it. And then we will hop into, and we'll also give you just a general summary of the manga so that you know kind of what you're getting into. Then we'll hop into a spoiler section, and that's going to be where we're just going to go deep diving into everything. However, if in chat you try to spoil things that are past chapter 36, which is where we stopped today, you will get timed out. If you keep on doing it, you'll get banned. It's not good. Just hold it all together. Don't be a rotten bacon butt, as Erin says, because it'll make us sad, because 3 out of the 4 of us have not read past chapter 36, and we do not want to be spoiled. It will be a big
deal.
Find
you.
I'll drop dead immediately. Chat, it'll be really upsetting.
If you spoil in chat, I will know.
Brad will know.
I will ban you.
Yeah, Brad.
If you spoil in chat, you don't want to anger a Scottish person, so don't spoil it in chat.
Shit.
Don't spoil it in chat.
A lot of people are gonna come and find you. Sorry, hold on.
Baby aggro.
I'm saving my child. Okay. Yeah. So Brad, you were gonna read the summary, right?
Yes.
Kick it off.
Right
Get
here.
Into it.
At Grace Field House, life couldn't be better for the orphans. Though they have no parents, together with the other kids and a kind of mama who cares for them, they form one big happy family. No child is ever overlooked, especially since they are all adopted at the age of 12. Their daily lives involve rigorous tests, but afterwards they are allowed to play outside. There is only one rule they must obey. Do not leave the orphanage.
That was the most epic summary reading I think that we've ever had on MangaPod. And I approve.
We're upping the production value.
Yeah, it's great.
Every day.
So yeah, now we're going to go one at a time and tell you whether or not we think that this manga is worth your time. Who would like to go first?
I want to go first because I spoiled my shit first. It's so good. Everything, it's such a well-constructed story, and all the characters have so many different layers to them. And it doesn't feel ham-fisted in the type of story that it's trying to tell. It feels like an excellent, it's a cat and mouse game with really high stakes, and it's done extremely well. Everything about this manga is great. Now, the one thing or reservation that I would raise against this manga is if you can't really handle stuff that's really dark in nature, like thematically, then you may want to steer away from this. But even then, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So I think it's excellent, and I highly recommend that everyone give this a shot. It's also getting an anime adaptation like really soon,
which is excellent.
So
yeah. Is it not like, is it the first half of 2019, or is it the winter 2019 or something like that? Really soon.
I'm checking right now. January 2019.
Yeah, so winter. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can go next. I kind of agree. There are some dark themes to it, and there's some stuff that is that can be jarring. But as Lou said, I think this isn't like Berserk dark, right? Like it's not like crazy grim dark. I think it's incredible. Honestly, I heard about the manga just a few weeks ago through another YouTuber. I think it's Super Eye Patch Wolf is his name, where he was comparing kind of the evolution of Shonen Jump and what it is, and how, One Piece is still king in 2018, but these new mangas such as Promised Neverland and Dr. Stone are becoming really, really popular. And so I was like, I have never heard of these two manga. So I went out and read all of Dr. Stone, and that's another episode, but I also loved it. And Promised Neverland, he said specifically in his video, like, if you don't want any spoilers, like, skip ahead. And I was like, okay, well, if it's that good, I'm going to skip ahead. So I went in completely blind, and I just like powered through this manga. Like, it is just a page turner in like the best sense of the word, where it's like every chapter you're like, what is happening? What is going on? They're bringing up things from multiple chapters ago that were, things that were set in motion and all this kind of stuff. And it's a huge game, and I think it's chock full of like really amazing tidbits for people that like really like to pay attention to detail and really like to absorb everything in a drawing and every written word and all that kind of stuff. It's enthralling to me, and it's a very different style of manga than I've ever read, because I read Boku no Hero and One Piece and all that kind of stuff, and this is excellent. It's enthralling, to say the least.
Yeah, and for me, like I absolutely loved it, and I don't get to read a lot of manga very often, but like reading this, I went into it blind as well, so I had no idea. I knew it was getting an anime, and I was going to watch the anime, but reading the manga.
There's going to be an anime? I had no
There's
idea.
going to be an anime.
Sorry,
yeah, January 2019. January 2019.
You just yelled into Clark's ear.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I totally didn't know what I was going into, and then I read it, and the one thing I'd say about it is there's like heightened danger in every page, so like you never know what's going to happen. So as you're kind of going through it and turning through the pages or reading each chapter, like everything feels surprising. And it was weird reading it, because it's almost like the author and the artist aren't precious over their world or their characters. So like there's this sense that anything can happen. So I really love that about it, and would ultimately recommend it. Really, really good.
Yeah. I agree with pretty much everything that was said. I also went into it totally blind. I did not expect the sort of things that were going to happen in this manga. And I also definitely agree that there is this sort of feeling like the mangaka isn't totally in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like it's really bizarre. Like everything was planned out millennia ago. Like it's such an odd feeling. You really do feel like I can't even guess what's going to happen in the next chapter, especially after it starts rolling and you're like, you know what? This is just a wild ride that I can't predict in the slightest, and I'm just gonna
after the first
be
chapter,
on
you're on Mr. Bones' wild ride.
Yeah,
and you're
literally.
Like, let's go.
And it's so good. It's so well done. So yeah, I definitely recommend it as well. Cool. So I think from listening to all of us talk about it, you can tell it's good. Definitely worth your time. We are now going to go into spoiler section. So if after hearing all of this, you're like, holy shit, I also want to go in blind, and I also want to be on Mr. Bones' wild ride, this would be your time to take your leave, because we're going to go really spoilery, really in depth with everything that happened in what we read. And so you're you're gonna know everything. And
you know, to echo that sentiment, and I know this may hurt live stream viewership and people may watch the VOD, but go in blind.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I totally agree.
I encourage you to go in blind, because the first chapter I think is like 50 or so pages or something. Like it's you know, of course, a longer kind of intro chapter. And like at the end of it, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like it was such a turn. And going in blind is the best thing to do with this manga, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Cool. Yep. We're going to give you a countdown. 5 seconds. That's the amount of time that you have to either mute and watch our beautiful faces for the rest of it silently, or just peace out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So Mama's God.
Mama's God.
Clearly.
Oh my God, yeah.
Clearly.
All right. So there's this thing that's kind of been bugging me as I've been reading this. Well, first off, I know Brooke has read some Bakuman. Have either of you read Bakuman?
No.
Tyler? Okay.
No.
So the Bakuman is about 2 teenagers that become mangaka for Shonen Jump. All right. Basic story. This story sounds like the type of story that they would write. So the characters in
Interesting.
I don't know. Like if you read Bakuman, like this style of story with this really complex narrative, like you get glimpses of those manga inside of Bakuman, and I feel like this, like the Promised Neverland, is something that could totally happen in that universe created by those characters. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I just really wanted to get that out there, because if I didn't say it now, I would forget.
Well, you will love chapter 37 when there's the crossover where you pull back from the pages of the manga.
And we were in a manga all along.
Yeah, exactly.
So meta.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah, normally the way that we start off, especially when it's the first time doing a manga, is we all talk about kind of what we were expecting. And I think that might be a little interesting, especially this time, since both Brad and I didn't know.
I didn't. Okay, I mean, like now that we're in spoiler territory.
Yeah, Brad, what did you think this was going to be about? What did you think was going to happen in this manga?
Honestly, I don't know. The only thing I knew about it that my friend, actually, G-Mart, I believe, was the one that told me. He described it to me as, he was like, oh, it's like Prison Break, like the old show, like the old Fox TV show, right? Where there's like plans on plans on plans.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But you know, since we're in spoiler territory, I did not know. I didn't expect such an overarching thing of a theme of child murder, right? And like, like
I didn't expect
that
demons.
was the most unexpected thing. Yeah, I didn't expect those demons. I didn't expect child murder. I didn't expect human farms. I didn't expect, like, none of that was expected.
Yeah.
And I love. I don't know which page exactly it happens in chapter 1, but like the first time you see the demons, they are just like, it's, you know, like their designs are just so weird and unsettling.
Yeah.
And they're like very weird and creepy, and like it's not like any demons I feel like we see traditionally. I looked it up so I could see. The page 38 is the first time you see the demons, and like it is like harrowing. It's like such a creepy experience.
Yeah.
And it came out of left field for me. I did not expect demons whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the same for me, because like I didn't even read the description. I didn't even read the synopsis. No idea. I just knew it was getting an anime adaptation. I knew that people were really hyped about it. I saw the front cover. I was like, oh, this looks nice. Little kids, look at them. Oh, they're so sweet.
Look at all these precious babs.
Look at all these little babies. Oh, look, they're studying and stuff. Oh, what are they gonna do? Oh, demons. Oh, childs. Oh my god, everyone's dead. Fantastic. So. Everyone's dying, and then like, you know, they take Connie, that little girl, and then she's like got her little sweet little bunny, and she's heading off to the gate, and she's gonna like get adopted.
So sad.
It's gonna be so sweet, and then bang, big massive twig right through the heart or whatever that thing is, because we don't know. Well, I don't know what that is yet.
That's garnish.
Probably.
It's like parsley.
Totally.
It's like demon parsley.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally wasn't expecting that, and then I love the art in it, and how absolutely shocked Emma and Norman look, and just that whole, because it mirrored how I felt, because I just didn't know what was going to happen, and then she was dead, and then
Yeah.
it was that reveal is amazing, and then the reveal of the demons is really great as well. That whole section that just brings you in, because I think it's quite captivating even from the first like couple of pages, but as you get there, it's like, whoa, okay, where are we? What is this world? And I just wanted to read more. I just needed more of it, especially when you get into Mama and all that kind of stuff, and all of her, all that's kind of backstory.
Yeah, all the world building, and we haven't gotten a ton of it yet, really. But like the world building that we do have is so interesting. And yeah, it was the same for me. Where like I went in with the basic concept of it's an orphanage, but it's not what it seems. So like that could be anything, right? Like kids could have superpowers.
Maybe it's like a magic
like,
orphanage. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the point where Newman was like, "Oh, we'll bring the thing to Connie. We'll just go bring it to her." I was like, "Oh, we're about to find out the shit. This is gonna be the shit, right?" Did not expect for there to be a demon eating a child. Yeah. I didn't think that was gonna be the reveal. I was like, oh. But yeah, honestly, I think saying that it's kind of like the old Prison Break show is a little apt. Like that's kind of true, where you just like, you always feel like, and this is the perfect way for it to feel, but you always feel like there's at least one character that's like 4 steps ahead of where you're going.
Yeah.
And it's so great, because that means that they're also, all of the characters are like constantly competing to be ahead of each other, and they're all hyper intelligent, and they've like established this whole hierarchy of like anybody who's made it to a certain age is a fucking genius, right? So it's just like it's crazy. Yeah.
But I love it when those characters get one upped as well. You know, like like Norman and everyone, when you think that they're doing so well, and that they're going to escape and it's going to happen, and then suddenly something happens, and then that's it. Like, you know, it twists and turns all the way continuously, but really good ones too. Like not even predictable ones, because I couldn't predict anything as you're going through it. I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I need to keep reading.
Yeah. How about you, Lou?
I went into this about as blind as you did, Dodger.
Oh, sick.
I saw Neverland in the title. I'm like, okay, do they stop aging? Is that it?
Oh, right, sure, yeah.
And then a small child was murdered, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be that type of story. I like this, you know. Hollows from Bleach just going and eating everyone. It's great, right. Cool, great. It's a Bleach spinoff. Like, if you guys didn't know, not really, but genuinely enjoyed every aspect of the story. I feel like the fact that I was blindsided by that reveal, like, really propelled me to read more of it. And I feel like if I would have gone into it spoiled, I still would have enjoyed it, because it is a good story. And I think that, like, clearly the mangaka or the team that's working on this, because it's one person for the story, one person for the art. It seems like, you know, pun intended, they are definitely on the same page and have a plan for how they're going to develop the story, both visually and in terms of the narrative. Yeah. So I feel like I would have enjoyed it regardless of being spoiled on like the actual premise of the manga. But I feel like that the fact that I went into it blind just adds this nice little layer to it that makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm kind of a victim of like judging a book by its cover, I believe, because like the only thing I had seen of it before was like key art, right? It was kind of just like, oh, Emma and Norman and all the people in there cute, and I'm like, I don't really love this art style, and you know, I can be a little shallow in that respect, right? You know, I gotta have an art style that I can connect with that I really enjoy, and I think that's what made kind of the introduction of the demons and whatnot so like jarring to me, because I was like, oh, this is not like your cutesy, you know, bullshit anime or manga rather, for the most part. It's like, oh, this is serious. They are trying to escape death at every turn. They are, you know, outsmarting each other. They are like, you know, the game of cat and mouse is probably the most apt kind of description of it, because everyone is playing 4D chess simultaneously, and all of a sudden everyone's plans are being foiled by everyone else. But oh no, it's okay because Norman had a backup plan the whole time. Right. But then they get in, then Mama knows what they're doing because she's also hyper smart and intelligent, and it's just like it's wild. It's really, really enjoyable.
And to build off of what you're saying is none of it feels like an ass pull. Like all of it feels like it was genuinely planned by the mangaka. Yeah. At least, I feel like the mangaka either planned the entire story or knew what seeds to leave behind as potential plot points to go back and revisit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I feel like everything feels like it's going according to a plan. So like I'm curious to read as to how this manga was put together.
Yeah.
Because
the behind the scenes.
Exactly. Like, so a lot of how a manga develops comes from the editorial side of things. So I'm curious how much freedom the editors gave them, how much of the manga or how many chapters of the manga they developed before like publishing anything.
Right.
And I don't know, like, has this mangaka done anything else?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Don't know who he is.
Was it? Wait, hold on. I think he said it was. Hold on. In the first page of this, does he not say it's one of his first? Well, it's definitely the artist's first weekly series, is what it says here. And then in the notes it says like the mangaka says the foreshadowing in the art, but I'm not telling where. The liveliness of the characters. These are all the things that he loves. The liveliness of the characters, the amazing quality of the little kids. And he debuted. There we go. He debuted in 2015 with Ashley no Yuki on Shonen Jump Plus, and that was his first. Huh. There you go. Never heard of it.
So and just they did like a two-shot.
Oh, yeah, okay. That was it. And then then he did this. So pretty cool.
That's nuts.
Yeah, but like I think it kind of reminds it, and it's not like Game of Thrones at all, but you know how like George R.R. Martin has planned out Game of Thrones to the nth degree, so he knows who's going to be on the Iron Throne and all that kind of stuff. So that's how this feels, because even when you're reading it and Norman gets trumped and Emma gets trumped and Ray gets trumped, like when it comes back to it, when it's like, oh no, yeah, like how you were saying, like Norman had a plan all along, like all those seeds are laying out of like he did actually have a plan all along. I'm not just making this up. Like here is the plan that he had, and then it all comes together. Like it's so clever.
Yeah.
From a reader's perspective, of like if I went back and read those chapters again, I'd be like, oh, I can see where maybe Norman was going to come from, and then how things are going to change. And I think that is so clever.
That kind of a payoff is so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can feel it. Like it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying to read.
Like I think what really elevates that is not only is the plan overall like really well thought out, but the motivations behind everything. So the fact that Ray already that Norman already knew that Ray had no intention of going with them from one like I guess it could have been a throwaway line of dialogue, but I felt like there was very clear foreshadowing there that Ray really didn't want to go or had no intention of going as long as Norman and Emma got away.
Oh yeah, I think that was definitely purposeful.
That big reveal though, when Ray's like, "Yeah, I've been the traitor all along." I was like, "What? No way!"
I did not think he was gonna be the traitor. That was a really good reveal. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, like proper like intake of breath. I was like, "Oh my god, no way! I can't believe that."
And then I was like kind of pissed off about it because he's such an edgelord. I was like, God damn it, of course it's him. Fuck.
Yeah.
Should have seen
it. You
didn't
coming. Expect it, but then it makes all the sense when it happens. You're
like, oh,
okay.
but then like the longer that you read, the more you're like, oh, he really loves Emma and Norman. Like he really wants to do whatever he can to keep them alive. So
but he's known about it the whole time.
He's known about it.
It's
known
crazy
about it
because
since
like
the womb.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing that's crazy too, is like, when you think about it, I mean, like he's had to shoulder that burden for so long, and he's the one that orchestrated them to finally find out by, leaving the bear behind or whatever. And it's crazy. Like he's been playing this game forever, basically.
Okay, here's the one thing though that really bothered me is one of his memories was getting the chip put into his ear, right? And
the tracker.
Yeah, the tracker. And he like totally acted like he had no idea where that thing was and let Emma go on like not a goose chase, but let her like search a bunch of people's bodies, like baby bodies, to try and find where this tracker was, and then was like, oh shit, it's in our ear. I was like, you knew that, you asshole.
But he was also simultaneously building the device to stop it. So like he was clearly building the device knowing where the tracker was.
Yeah.
So it's like, does it matter if he let her kind of check a bunch of baby bodies? I don't know.
Yes, they're on a short time schedule to get out of this fucking place.
Yeah. But remember that he was a spy. So like, while he was committed to their success, I feel like he wanted them to make their own progress before he made any revelations.
Sure.
Like if he would have known, oh yeah, no, it's behind your ear. Like that at that point, like where's the trust?
Right.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like
yeah, okay, I get that. Because I thought the same as you, Dodger. I thought, I was like, what? He knew about it all along? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, because wasn't he the one when she was like, guess what, guys? It's in our ears. He was like, oh yeah, I guess if you feel long enough, you can totally feel it in there.
Yeah. That should have been so easy.
You son of a bitch.
He's such a great character though, but all of them are. Like they've all got
I like
such
all
different...
of them, yeah.
Yeah. All three, they all bring something different to the story. Like and what's weird is that Norman's character would usually really annoy me in anything, because he's very smart, very, very hyper smart. And so he always feels like one step ahead of the game. And like in the beginning I was like, okay, well he knows too much or he's too smart or whatever. But then there's so many scenes where like, especially the bit when he finds out that he's gonna die, like that whole bit in the manga where he's like curled up at the sink, like this real like feeling. Like I was like, oh my god, I feel really bad for Norman. And as you're reading it, I was like, is he really gonna die? Is this really gonna happen? Is this really gonna happen? Is it? Oh my god! And then well, obviously you don't see, but is he? Is he dead? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past the mangaka. I really wouldn't. If he was, like, probably.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how he's alive. That story, and also the last two books that they couldn't figure out the point of in the library. I want to know that shit too.
What did they say? Did
one
they?
of them said what, fantasy or something like that, and one of them wasn't Morse code. It was like it didn't say anything. Oh, and the pen. We don't know what the pen does, right?
Oh yeah.
No idea. Which is really, really interesting.
There's some good mysteries.
God damn it.
Awaiting you, Brooke. Please step into my manga cavern.
Fuck.
Just come right in, Brooke. I'm inviting you in to my manga cavern, please.
Manga God?
Manga God, is that you? Yeah, it's great. And obviously I'm kind of the only one that's read past 36, but like the crazy thing to me is that and I hope it's not quite out of line saying this, but like that keeps going, right? Like
that, like what the fuck
like
feeling?
The breadcrumbs and the little things are still there, even all the way to like I just read this week's Shonen Jump, and it's still happening, right? It's still like it has that same air of mystery and that same like, what does this mean? What is all this like? What is all this coming together? And like it's crazy. It's really, really good. It's crazy that it keeps that pace so well. It never quite lets up. There's never like a moment of reprieve, really. There's never like, oh, everything's fine. Like everything's good. We'll have a pool party, right? Like there's no pool episode.
Here's the beach
there's
episode.
No
Yeah.
Yeah, there's beach chapters. They're constantly in danger and they're constantly shit going down that, they could die, and it's great. It's really, really good.
They could die, and it's awesome.
And it's awesome. Yeah, these children could die, and I love it.
Yeah, I at first I was kind of like, all right, it's as an orphanage filled with a bunch of smarty pants, but it wound up being such a good reason for everything. Like of course the people that become the mamas are like the most intelligent girls that could be farmed in these places, right? Like that makes sense because how else are they gonna have reins on a bunch of other kids that are constantly being tested to be like geniuses, right? And the older that they get, the more like discerning that they're gonna get. I loved the conversation kind of early on between Ray and Norman about like whether or not they were gonna have to kill Mama, right?
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
then being like, well, we know that Emma can't do it, but we totally could. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Not even the mama's safe.
And I loved that there's a conversation with Chrome quite a bit further into the manga where they're asking her loads of questions. And one thing I found really interesting is that she's never been outside. So, you know, she's never seen the outside world. So that means that Mama hasn't seen the outside world. So in this whole thing, because in my head I was like, well, you know, if these women or these like little girls are becoming mamas when they're like older and whatever, why don't they feel sad about the kids that they're obviously sending off to their death? Don't they feel anything? But if they don't know anything, they don't know anything but this world, that makes loads of sense. Like they don't know that if there is another world outside there, because there's been a lot of world building, but so little world building, and that's amazing. Like that's so fascinating that we genuinely as readers have no idea what waits for Emma after chapter 36. Like what waits for the for the kids and stuff.
And like through the sister, we realized that like probably a lot of that kind of like mental breaking that happens is when you decide like I don't want to die, I want to become a mama, right? They fuck you up at HQ and then are like, all right, now you can go and have like a lovely, wonderful life with all of these kids, being a perfectly loving mother to them. And sometimes they die, and that's okay. And it's like, no, what?
No, because you have to lead them to be eaten.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's by chapter 36, it's really fascinating because they're like, you know, finishing off their escape effectively. Like they're, you know, on top of the wall, they're all leaving, all that kind of stuff. And like the scariest thing, you know, usually you're like, oh, they did it. Yay, they've escaped. But like, because you know nothing about what lies beyond the walls, you're like, I mean, wouldn't they have just been safer staying in those walls where like they knew how things worked and what things were? Now it's just a complete fear of the unknown because they have no idea what awaits them past the wall, right? So it's such an exciting, like everything that is revealed is just so exciting to see because you the readers, we don't know anything, you know, and you know it feels like, obviously, like Lou was saying earlier, like this has to be like supremely crafted and like they have to know many chapters in advance because some of the kind of the tie-ins and the world building that occurs is like really great and really amazing for sure.
I just realized that this manga is basically reverse Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I totally see that. Yeah, it's
like a
fascinating.
little light bulb went off in my head. It was great. I think to kind of build off of what you were saying in terms of like the world building and how it's being managed, I feel like it's pacing out the world building in a way where there's we're afforded the opportunity to experience it gradually, as opposed to like if it was a real world setting, we would have a full grasp of what the setting is. And in most fantasy settings, because obviously it's a fantasy story, or future fantasy, I guess, or dystopian fantasy, usually you're given a full sense for the entirety of the world. I like the way that this is pacing out because I feel like I'm not being overwhelmed with a bunch of different abstract concepts. Like I feel like everything is happening gradually, and I'm given time to internalize it, and like I guess it really helps with suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you know other mangas. It could have gone one of two ways, right? It could have been those pages of one pages of those just kind of rectangular boxes that just describe everything about the world and tell you this is how things are. This is why the demons exist. This is what they're trying to avoid. This is what they're scared of. But instead, you're kind of learning it with the characters, right? Like you're as in the dark as they are, and until they uncover something, or in the case of Ray, he's had these experiences and he's seen this before, and now he's relaying it to Emma and Norman. You're learning everything kind of from their perspective, and it's like scary and beautiful and like awesome, and like it's just a really exciting read overall.
Yeah. And it is scary though. Like I was genuinely, there was moments in it I was like, oh my god, like one of my favorite characters was, rest in peace, Chrome. Sad as it is, because when she died, was not expecting that. But I really liked her and how she would appear out of nowhere and how she was trying to like get one up on these kids, but they always had one up on her, and she was terrifying. Like I found her really terrifying to when she appeared in panels and stuff like that. I thought she was amazing, and just this whole idea when she like wants to work with the kids, but they know that she's working against them and all of that stuff, and everyone's working, and she's working against Mama because she wants to become the mum. Like I thought that was really great, and how Mama as a character always feels like she was one step ahead, but as you get to that chapter 36, and when she that bit when she is running along the wall, and then like you see Emma look round, and I had felt my heart stop. I was like, oh my god, is Emma going to get caught? Is she going to be the only one that doesn't make it over the wall?
But they were all gone.
But they were all gone, and
it felt amazing.
The actual relief that kind of washed over me was amazing. Like, and that is key to this manga. I think is the consistent feeling of gratification you get as you keep reading, and it's building on what you said, Brad, about the whole idea that we're in the dark, we're as much in the dark as they are, so when we find out stuff, it is just so gratifying. Amazing.
It's so good, guys.
I know, right?
It's so good. How did you guys feel about the art? I know that it's been voiced that the art is maybe feels a little weird at first. I agree.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that like I judge it by its cover like completely. I was like, this is probably not something that I would super invest time in, because like I can be shallow in the sense that like I do like to see good art, and I do I have to appreciate it on that level probably before I can like really dive into a story. But someone even mentioned it in chat that said like they felt the same way, but I agree with them in the fact that it really grew on me, and like I'm like so down with it now. I'm like, this is great. It's very, very good, but it took me a while to get used to it.
One of the things that I really liked about Made in Abyss that I think applies to this is how there are moments that feel so sweet and serene that are immediately juxtaposed with like the same scene but with a completely different feel. Like every moment that was the kids and how they look on the outside and like how they feel on the inside, I thought was really well done. Like Emma, when she's, fine, everything's fine, I love you, Mama, versus what's going on in her head. I thought was always done so well, where you could tell that if she was panicking, or if she was, kind of like trying to see through a ruse, or, like they just did a really good job with everybody's kind of expressions when they were trying to work through a problem.
Yeah, totally. I really liked the art. Like I really liked it kind of going into it. I thought it looked a little bit different, and I quite enjoyed that. And then I think you were saying earlier, Brad, but the design of the demons is amazing. The bit in the beginning when Connie dies, and you see the huge demon monster just so like big, creeping over the page, so huge. And then there's that scene, I think it's at the end of the first volume, but I can't remember, where you see all the demons together on that like double spread manga page, and like all of them, and the one of them's got tea, and they're like, there's this huge kind of almost like bone like looking table, and there's this head demon at the top, and that feels so sinister but so like I don't know, with the whole like idea of them drinking tea and acting like normal
They
humans.
feel like they have
and
a
this,
society.
yeah, they've got a
Yeah.
society, and yeah, like exactly, and that just feels so, I don't know, chilling.
Yeah.
Really, like yeah, I
Oh.
really, really love the design of the demons, and I think
Brad.
that the
I just want you guys to read so badly.
as soon as it ends, man,
There's just so like there's just such good scenes, like such good things that happen and that aren't good in the sense of like, oh yeah, they're good, but like they're horrifying and crazy and like, oh, the game just never stops, right? Like
Right.
it's always
The chess
something
game
is
is always
happening.
going.
People are planning. Yes,
That's
it is.
really
It is absolutely true, and it's so good.
Also, just backtracking a little bit, but like, did anybody see the Phil thing coming and how Phil, like, did you notice that Phil was in loads of like little scenes and then he actually ends up knowing that, like, he just takes it as fact that Mama was bad. Like,
So,
what did you think of that?
I
Yeah.
actually had a stage while reading this where I thought Phil might be the spy.
Yeah, I totally
Because-
thought that too.
Yeah, because they kept like Phil just kept popping up, and Phil was very smart,
Yeah.
and Phil was very observant, and he was always there, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about you, Phil. But I was really glad that it just turned out that he was just like a really smart, like 5-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And then he's just like, leave me behind. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
good.
fine.
Yeah,
Like go do your thing.
I'll
Basically, I
distract
know
Mama.
he'll come save us. Yeah.
yeah,
And that moment when Emma has to make that decision of leaving them behind, because the whole way she's like, I'm going to save everybody, I'm going to take everybody. And then in my head, I'm like, Emma, how are you going to take the kids? Like, how are you going to take these little babies?
Yeah,
How you
that's
gonna
what I
take the
kept
little
thinking
babies?
too. I was like, "There's no
Because-
way you could take babies." I don't know
Yeah.
what the plan.
And they had
Yeah.
that sample bit where she was testing it out in the game of tag versus the
Mhm.
sister.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
When she
Oh,
was
yeah.
trying to carry
Where
other
she was
kids,
carrying
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. And then I wondered if it was gonna, if they were all going to escape, and then that would kind of suspend disbelief a little bit of like, yeah, okay, what are you going to do with these children? How are you going to feed them? How are you going to take care of them? What are you going to do? Go on the run with these like actual babies? But when they didn't, and she makes that heartbreaking decision to leave them behind, that was really well done. Where she's like, I'm definitely coming back for them, but I need to leave them now, otherwise we're
Yeah.
never going to escape. Really
Yeah.
good.
And the reasoning too was really interesting. Like they're not gonna just let a bunch of kids get to 6 years old and then just kill all of them right away, right? Because then they'll
Yeah.
never have good
Yeah.
stock.
Yeah.
So like the
She had to think about
reasoning-
them like products.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
reasoning
totally.
of they're gonna let these kids grow a little bit more, so we
We
have
have
time. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool. I was like, oh shit, that's true, right? It was cool.
Yeah. I wonder what will happen to Mama now. Now I'm genuinely wondering, like, because she's let all those kids go. All those kids are gone,
Yeah.
escaped. Is Mama going to be replaced? Is she going to
She's
chase after them?
fucked.
She is fucked.
Well, and
She's a great character, though.
Yeah.
The kids also like plan to go to every other farm, right? And
Plantation,
like
yeah.
get the other kids. So now I'm like, oh shit, every plantation is probably totally different. They're probably all run
Yeah.
totally different because we know that the one that they were at is the one that produces the best stock, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
what are the
yeah.
other ones like?
Yeah, and do any other kids know what's happening, or is it just, or
Right.
has anyone ever else figured it out? Like all that kind of stuff is really really interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And I don't
Yeah.
know whether because I wondered at one point whether they were even going to escape or how many chapters it would take them to escape, because there are points when it feels impossible, and you can genuinely feel the impossibility of how are they going to go? Like, Mama's watching every turn. There's a cliff. Like, how are you going to go over it?
Oh my
You've got all
god, the
these
reveal of the
kids.
cliff. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like, what
I know,
are
right?
you gonna do?
How are you going to go over that?
Of course,
How are
it's
you
not
gonna
that
go over
easy.
that?
Come on.
Of course.
Of course, there's a cliff, and there's sharks at the bottom, probably too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Demon sharks.
Yeah. Demon
Come you
sharks.
But no, it was really all that stuff is really good. All those kind of big reveal bits, and and how they were training all the kids, and that moment, that kind of time skipping moment where like Norman's gone, and
Mhm.
then you've just got Emma and you've got Ray, and they haven't spoken in 2
Oh, I
months.
love that one.
That was
That
so
is
good.
amazing, and it's a really well done time skip as well. Like
Yeah.
it was almost necessary, because otherwise it might have kind of dragged and got a little bit too slow if you were going to leave it without a kind of time skip. But I loved that moment when they meet each other in the cafeteria, and then like they exchange the plan, and then like Ray douses himself in oil, and like he's about to
Tries to
set
be all
himself on
like
fire.
epic about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, no,
Edgelord, like you were saying, like such an
Honey,
edgelord.
honey, no, stop,
honey,
please.
stop. Oh,
Stop.
oh,
I've
BB,
got
what is you
this.
doing? Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it was really satisfying to have Ray just spend like the next 3 chapters with like a
Yeah.
look on his face like, what the fuck
Wait,
is
these
going
kids
on?
have been practicing this for months?
Wait, everybody knows?
Yeah,
That was so
yeah.
that was fascinating. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, all of the kids know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the bit when they're on the wall, and then Norman's like there in spirit, and like he's telling Ray like, oh, did you not see that all this was coming, and he had like planned it all along and stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is it. They're gonna get over the wall. They're gonna escape. It's gonna be fine. Well, it's not gonna be fine as we know, but
It's gonna
we'll
be
see.
fine.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. They're gonna meet
In this
families.
world,
They're
everyone
gonna be
suffers. That's it. That's basically it.
Yeah.
I never said what I thought of the art. I think it's pretty good, but there are some really derpy phases
For sure.
at times. Like when the art when the person who's handling the art decides to take a less than conventional perspective, like I feel like the proportions can be really off, and it doesn't feel intentional. It feels like it's distorted by accident and just looks really bad.
Right.
But only in very specific circumstances. Like if I was to go through it, I could probably pull like several screenshots like pretty quickly. But like on the whole, I would say like the general style that the mangaka is going for, I like.
Yeah.
Like I'm not opposed to this art style. It is very different from everything else that I genuinely consume, but or generally consume. But I still enjoy it. Like in terms of like all right, if I was to draw a comparison, you know how the Seven Deadly Sins has its own really unique art style? Like I have the same experience consuming this manga as I do when I was reading the Seven Deadly Sins.
Gotcha.
Where like its art style feels very unique to itself.
Yeah. Be interested to see how they adapt that for the anime, like how close to the manga style they keep, or if it's going to look like a typical A1 Pictures, even though it's done by Cloverworks, which is still technically A1 Pictures. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they keep the similar style, because
Did you guys talk about what they have done previously? Like the anime studio that is?
They've done
Cloverworks? They've done Persona 5.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and Darling in the Franxx. Okay.
Somebody said they worked on Franks, yeah.
So they're new. They're part of A1 Pictures, and they're like a branch off, where it's a bunch of other artists, and they did a lot of collaborations. So they're doing Persona 5 at the minute. They did Franks with Trigger, and they're quite an interesting studio because it is still A1 Pictures, but it's like just a branch off of that. So they kind of do slightly different things, and it's interesting that they are handling it, because A1 obviously are so huge. So hopefully there'll be some money in it to adapt, hopefully a 25 episoder, hopefully. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Although, since it's shown in Jump, it makes me wonder if it's going to get the Black Clover treatment, in the sense that Black Clover's 51 episodes in the anime. So will they do, I don't know how many episodes you can kind of get out of the first 36 chapters, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with it. They've never done anything that long, though. So I think Persona 5 is 25 episodes, 24 episodes. Dan Franks was 24 episodes. So to have that serialized like thing that the Promised Neverland is, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
I mean, if I had to guess, sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's okay.
I feel like they could probably condense this 36 chapters into 12 episodes, because a lot of what's happening can be explained through visuals as opposed to exposition. So they can tell more of the story a lot faster. That said, I think that there are certain parts that will be expanded upon independent of the story. So, for example, the time skip that we were praising, specifically Isla was praising, I feel like that's something that they're gonna let the characters dwell in their misery and make us experience that, you know, that misery that they're projecting to conceal their ideas or their strategies. But that's just the nature of adaptation. And I would like for it to get more, but I don't think that if it was me, I feel like I wouldn't push for more. Like, I would be okay with this being a split core show, because I don't want to risk the production values going south.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is a show that needs to look great, because it's carried not on action, it's carried on the power of the characters. And I feel like there isn't really much, like, the story is great, but I feel like the visuals need to complement how great the story is for it to really, like, get the praise that it deserves. Like, I'll give you an example of a show that's currently airing. Grand Blue is a manga that we read recently on MangaPod, and love it. We're reading it again really soon.
The manga is incredible. It's so funny.
It's amazing, but the anime is so bad. Like, the art for the manga is pretty solid. I genuinely enjoy it, but the anime just fails to capture that.
Yeah.
I'm watching the anime.
Flat, I think.
Yeah, I'm watching the anime. I haven't read the manga, but it's almost got that. Did you read Hinamatsuri? You seen Hinamatsuri, or no? But it's almost got that Hinamatsuri style of, like, the way the characters' faces kind of animate and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that looks in the manga for Grand Blue, because I thought having not read the manga, I only know what it's like in the anime, so I thought it was all right. I think it's quite funny in a lot of places, and I know my friend Dakota loves it, and he was talking about the kind of screwdriver scene that I think is in one of the episodes, and how funny it is. And I think it does, the anime does quite well, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out in the manga and stuff.
Yeah, with regards to kind of the scheduling and how long it should be, I think I wanted to kind of take its time, because I feel like it's a show that needs to and not be rushed. But at the same time, I don't think that is accomplished by, like, doubling the episodes per se. Like, I think you can accomplish a ton in 12 episodes and make sure that everyone feels for the characters how they should and feels for their plight and stuff like that. And I would also, like it to be kind of a condensed, like, I mean, chapter 36 is an excellent season end, right? Like, that's obviously is where it's going to end the season. And you also know, obviously, the first chapter is going to be the first episode, because it has one of those, someone mentioned it, I know in chat, it has a very similar Attack on Titan feel, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's cool. Haha, we live in this world where there are Titans. Oh my God, he ate my mother, right?
Yeah.
Like, Connie's death is like that, as striking as that. And so I think it's going to be a slow burner, I think, and that's how I would want it to be, because there's just so many. It's all about the mind games, and, like, you don't have episodes, punctuated by big battles or, like, action set pieces or, like, stuff like that, but it's going to be all about the crazy, an episode is definitely going to end with Ray saying he's, like, the double agent, right?
You can see where everything's going to end.
You can pinpoint every big moment where things are going to be happening, and I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch for sure. But at the same time, it's like, when I read stuff like, Boku no Hero and, One Punch Man and One Piece and stuff like that, I'm extremely excited to see it animated because of the big battles and the big set pieces and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm not, like, super excited to watch the Promised Neverland anime, if I'm kind of being honest with myself, because, like, I know all the twists and turns, and, like, that is the strength of the story. So, like, when I read something that Saitama does in One Punch Man, I'm like, I cannot wait to see
that animated,
that punch in animation form. There's nothing particularly in Promised Neverland that I feel makes me as excited as that feeling does, because I'm having the same experience, because it's all, like, espionage and subterfuge and, like, all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm getting the same experience I feel just reading it as I would, like, watching it, right? So it's like, I'll probably watch the anime for fun, but like I'm not as excited for it as I am for just kind of the manga in general, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Cool. Was there anything else having to do with the story that you guys wanted to talk about, or can we start giving final thoughts and ratings on this guy?
I think I'm ready. I'm done.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Who would like to go first?
I had a score in mind.
Go, Lou.
Okay, so like I've been really excited to talk about this manga. I feel like I really jumped the gun with like super like hi, my name's Lou and this manga's real fucking good. Like it is a 9 for me. And I feel like there's so much potential for it to get so like to grow and build on like what it's like the foundation that it's laid. And I fully anticipate like that score to go up, which is kind of like it doesn't happen often. Like it doesn't happen often that I feel like I really fall in love with the series. And usually like it's these series that have like these dark undertones and themes that really captivate me. So this is like really in my wheelhouse, and I'm genuinely excited to read more of it. And like Brad talking it up and saying that, oh no, you guys haven't seen shit yet.
It's true.
Like I want to get
all
and I want to read more of the manga. Yeah. Like no offense, guys, but like this manga is like really important to me right now.
Yeah.
Let's get on the schedule, please. So 9 out of 10. I feel like I like anything less would feel like a disservice to this manga.
Yeah. I would also give it a 9 out of 10. Like I absolutely, it's totally my kind of thing as well. And it's just the unpredictability of it. Like the thing they were talking about earlier about being constantly in the dark and being taking every step with these kids and just how great these kids are as well. Just the whole thing. Oh my God.
You okay?
I'm not choking up.
You're getting
I'm
choked
not
up
choking
over
up.
them. Yeah.
I'm just, this manga is
so
so amazing,
emotional.
guys. I'm just so emotional that. Anyway, no, I'm not. But it's great, and I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10. I agree with it would be a disservice to give it anything less than that, and I can also see my score like increasing with it. And I am excited to watch the anime. I'm excited to see what they do with the soundtrack and all that kind of stuff, and how they amp up all that tension. But as the manga goes, it is absolutely a kind of must read. Like I would thoroughly recommend it to anybody, and even with its darker tones, I think you just need to read it. So yeah, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I was also gonna give it a 9. So there you go. It's just really, really good, and it was not what I was expecting, and maybe that sort of contributed to that feeling of like, oh shit, But it really does just feel like this huge game of chess, and you never really know what's gonna happen, and I love that feeling. So I can't wait to read more and continue feeling that way. Just like how much deeper can this possibly get, right? It's cool.
Yeah, I when I started reading Promised Neverland, it was I think just like a few weeks ago. So I think it was around chapter 100 was like the most current chapter, and I felt this way, and I've started like I don't know. 2018 has been interesting because I feel like I've started to feel more and more passionate about like manga, and like I've been reading a lot more manga, and that started earlier this year when I was like, I really want to know the fascination of One Piece, and so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna read it all, right? So I read all 900 something chapters of One Piece to like catch up to it, but for like the current manga that I'm reading now are things like Dr. Stone, Boku no Hero, Promised Neverland, One Punch Man, obviously, and for Dr. Stone and Promised Neverland, they were both around I think Dr. Stone was at like 60 or 70 when I started reading, and Promised Neverland was at 100. I feel for the first time like I got into Naruto and Bleach kind of late, and I'm like so excited to be kind of at the beginning of series that I think are going to be like incredible, right? That are going to be like
totally
keystones of like anime and manga, I think, for years to come, right? Like I've been late to the party before, but now with these kind of amazing manga that I think we have that are so unique and different. I've never read anything like Promised Neverland. I've never read anything also like Dr. Stone, but obviously that's a whole nother episode. But like I am like happier than ever, I think, to be a fan of kind of manga and like the medium as a whole. So I think it's easy to say, you know, just to be the fourth person to basically say 9 out of 10 because it's just exceptionally good. And I think it stays consistently good throughout all that I've read. And I'm extremely, I'm excited every week, right? Like I am now for the past few weeks been like, oh shit. Like I'm so excited about the Promised Neverland. Like I don't know what's going to happen. I'm very excited for the reveals. I'm very excited for everything that's happening there. So, yeah, I love it. And I think I think everyone owes it to themselves to at least read the first few chapters and see if it sticks with them. It's one of those things that I think I could recommend at least that much to most people that have any interest, because I think they'll stick with it because it's just great. It's just so good. It's a literal page turner. You won't want to put it down.
Yeah. Cool. 9 out of 10s all across the board. Yeah. So if you stuck around, you played yourself. You got spoiled on way too much stuff. But according to Brad, it just continues to get fantastic. So still worth it to go and read it, I think. Yeah, and if you would like to come back and watch this manga, I should have said this before we got into the spoiler section, but if you would like to come back and watch this MangaPod after you've read it or for any other reason, you will be able to find it on youtube.com/happilyerin. That is our lovely Erin's channel. Cool. Well, now, Lou, do you want to read the summary for next week's?
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
Hell yeah. Lou's going to read the summary for next week's, leaving out some choice words, and y'all get to guess what manga it's going to be.
All right, so the grammar in this kind of sucks, so bear with me.
Great.
Among the seaside town of Blank's ocean waves and rays of shining sun, Blank is just beginning his freshman year at Blank University. As he moves into his uncle's scuba diving shop, Blank, he eagerly anticipates his dream college life filled with beautiful girls and good friends. But things don't exactly go according to plan. Upon entering the shop, he encounters a group of rowdy naked upperclassmen who immediately coerce him into participating in their alcoholic activities. Though unwilling at first, Blank quickly gives in and becomes the heart and soul of the party. Unfortunately, this earns him the scorn of his cousin, Blank, who walks in at precisely the wrong time. Undeterred, Blank still vows to realize his ideal college life, but will things go according to plan this time, or will his situation take yet another dive?
I think
Nezzy Fipple's got it.
Yeah, if I can make a suggestion for your next kind of synopsis, your spoiler synopsis, turn all those blanks into a Mad Lib amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Before you read it, and just go from there. So it's like farts walked into a locker room filled with.
Holy shit, that's totally a game we should play on Crunk MangaPod.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that would be
very
good.
Oh my god, is to take anime summaries and leave out words? Fuck, that sounds amazing. What a great idea. Cool. Yes, we are going to be reading Grand Blue. What chapters are we reading, Lou?
18 to 33. I didn't have that up. I'm not
Sick.
that.
That's okay. Something like 18 to 33.
Holy shit. I got it right.
Nice. And if you need to be reminded of that later, you can find it on our subreddit, r/MangaPod. That's going to be it for us, guys. So we're going to go one at a time and tell you who we are and where you can find us and what we do. And then we're going to say good night. First off, of course, wrong side, this way. Erin is our lovely ship captain, and you can find her at Happily Erin on pretty much everything. She's got that unified branding going on. She has currently been spending a lot of time writing a novel, which is amazing, but she does have a lot of awesome anime and mental health awareness stuff that is on her YouTube channel, along with all of the MangaPods. So if you would like to go and check that out, I'm sure she would love that.
She's the mama of this.
She is. She's the mama of MangaPod for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not going to kill everybody though.
Yeah.
Not send us off to our death.
What is she raising her daughter for?
Oh shit.
Oh no. And you too, Brooke. Oh no.
She's asleep. Yeah.
Clark, you need to. There's going to be this is the most morbid thing ever. But Clark cosplay flower out of her chest.
Oh shit.
So
now
morbid.
I know what she should be for Halloween.
Exactly. A dead baby. Oh, okay. No, this is terrible.
As for me, you can find me at DexBonus on pretty much everything. I'm a Twitch streamer, and I put really stupid stuff on social media sometimes. So come in, hang out with me if you wanna.
What's up, guys? My name is Lou, and I'm from Lou Talks Anime, and specifically Twitter, because I only rarely make videos. When I do, it tends to be a massive shit post. But I don't know. Sometimes people like those things. So yeah, if you want to check out my videos, that's youtube.com/Lou Talks Anime now. And yeah, that's basically it. Just come and bullshit and talk anime with me on the Twitters, because I like doing that. Just nothing that's currently airing, because fuck seasonal anime. I'm not a fan.
Strong opinions.
Yes, sir. Very much.
I am Brad, or Pluto. I'm on Twitter at the Pluto with 3 O's, because it's the worst. You can follow me if you want to chat about anime or escape rooms. Is my number one vice.
Yeah, you guys know my shirt that has the dude all over it? That's Brad.
That's me.
That's Brad.
Me.
It's his shirt.
Yeah, I loved visiting Brooke, and she was holding her baby, and she opened the door, and she was wearing my face all over her shirt, and I was like, this is the weirdest moment that's ever happened in my life. But yeah, I love escape rooms and puzzles, and I love manga, and I love. Thank you so much for having me, Brooke, and to Erin, who's not currently here because she's on baby duty. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I was supposed to come on like months ago, but I'm glad this finally worked out. I traveled home from PAX West today, and I was taking a nap, and I got a message from Erin. I was like, "We still on for tonight?" And I was like, yeah, I totally play it. Yep.
For sure.
Yep, I'm in. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you were great. Isla?
I'm Isla, or Isla McTeer on YouTube, MCTEAR, and also on Twitter. I make anime videos, and I'm going to counter your seasonal thing. I love seasonal anime, so I talk about the seasonal stuff all the time, new stuff that's airing, and loads of kind of love letters to anime that I'm really super passionate about. So if you like watching really extraordinarily highly edited videos, because that's my day job, so I just sit and spend far too long on my content. But there you go. And yeah, just talk to me about anime. It's the one way to get my attention. Just fire me a message, fire me on Twitter, and I will talk back to you about it. But thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It was great to read Promised Neverland. As someone who doesn't get to read a lot of manga, it's really kind of I think you were talking about it, Brad, about how you've kind of got into manga this year, and this has really made me want to read more manga. So as soon as this ends, I'm going to finish the Promised Neverland, and then I'm going to pick something else up.
If I may recommend a nice little palate cleanser, just something very soft and easy to digest. Read Goodnight Poon. It's great.
Oh, okay. That sounds cute. That already sounds really cute.
Nice.
That sounds
adorable little palate cleanser.
Yeah, it's real cute.
I hope it is adorable, and you're not leading me into my death in some other way.
Yeah. The end of chapter 1, Pon gets eaten by a demon.
It's really good.
It's just a little bird doing little bird shit.
I've heard. You guys have talked about that before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I read the whole thing.
Interesting.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching MangaPod. We will be back here next Tuesday at 7:30 Pacific time, reading Grand Blue. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.